Hello, and welcome to WABAN. I am your host, Nim, and I am joined here today by Vicious.
I can't do this. That was too good. Are you ready to start? And I glance at it, and it's already started the countdown, and you didn't even know. That was a new one.
Well, yeah, and technically, I could have just stopped and taken a second to prepare my intro because, I can cut out the beginning of me getting ready, but I didn't want to. So I was like, I'm just going to start it. So yeah, we're in this. We're in this. Okay, so podcast going. We watched some Cowboy Bebop, 13 episodes of it on Netflix. Well, I watched it on Netflix. I don't know where you watched it. But.
Oh yeah, Netflix was easiest because Crunchyroll requires premium for Cowboy Bebop for some reason.
Because it's a premium show. It's just that good.
I guess.
So, first time I've ever watched it. First time you've ever watched it.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to for a while.
Initial thoughts on the first 13 episodes?
It's pretty good. I have no complaints, really.
Yeah. I think the one thing that, I feel like there is definitely occasionally moments where the dubbing is a little weird for me.
Yeah, I get that.
I think maybe it just doesn't match up with the mouths right or something. I don't know. But it's But yeah, generally, it is really good.
The first few episodes, especially, I was like, "Oh, the sub is probably better." But then, as it went on, I was like, "No, this is decent at the very least."
I feel like the show, in general, improved as it went on. Like the first few episodes were good, but I think it really got good as it got into it more. Around episode 4 or 5, somewhere around there is when I really started to really get into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the basic plot of this is there's these two bounty hunters. It's many years in the future. So it's in our universe. It's not like something like Star Wars where it's in a different galaxy. So it's in our galaxy, in our universe, because they go to Earth and Venus and other planets. They also mention other planets, so I guess they travel even further than our solar system to other planets as well. Sense. But yeah, and so basically there's two bounty hunters, and they kind of, it's you have two characters who have a very mysterious, unknown past, and they're just kind of bounty hunters together, and you kind of learn more about them as it goes along, as they go on different missions to capture bounty hunters, and they meet people from their past and stuff in certain episodes. And then they also sort of add more people to their crew.
Unwillingly, for the most part.
Unwillingly, yeah. It just kind of happens. There's the one episode when the kid joins, Ed. Yeah. When Ed joins, they're he's
she? I don't remember. Didn't it say it was a girl, but also I have no idea at this point. I don't think it really matters either.
No, I think it is a girl. It's just because the Ed said that Ed gave Ed that name, the name, right? So it was, and Ed always talks in the third person themselves,
which makes it very hard to talk about Ed.
About herself. Yeah. So yeah, it's so it was the episode where Ed joins, and at the end, Spike is there are 3 things I hate the most. It's kids, animals, and what did he say? He's
women with attitudes, I think.
Women with attitudes. So why are all 3 on my ship? But yeah, so the characters are Spike, who's kind of the main character, and then Jet, who's kind of I guess Spike and Jet are the main characters, but I would consider Spike to be the more main character, right?
I guess
because the guy who's the main reoccurring villain is more linked to him than anybody else. So I don't know. So it's him. He's kind of a cool character. He's just the classic you know, likes getting in fights and he seems to really enjoy just like chasing people and like doing all this stuff, getting some action. Yeah. Like there's the episode where they're tracking down a hacker and he doesn't want to get involved because he's like, that's too boring.
And then Ed goes that you can't use the computers to target or fly. It's like, okay, I can do that. That's awesome.
He's like, oh, that's my thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there's Jet, who's like he's like the pilot kind of main like
mechanic
kind of tech guy. But he's also like, you know, good fighter and stuff too. Mm-hmm. He seems to be the one who's like somewhat more level-headed of the two. Like he's gonna think before he acts a little bit more than Spike, maybe. Sometimes, and then
impulsive at the very least.
Yeah. And then Faye joins the group, which is she's just, I mean, like Spike said, a woman with attitude. I mean,
she just kind of does what she wants and whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there's the dog, who's, I mean, it's a dog.
Yeah, Ines.
Yeah. And then Ed, who, I don't know, I was kind of annoyed with that character. Like that character was just kind of like a little annoying, but I don't know.
Yeah, Ed and Ine haven't contributed anything to the story yet, which Ine doesn't need to. Ine's perfect the way.
Well, right, because Ine's just like a little animal. Mm-hmm. Ine's not annoying, right? So I don't know, like the last couple episodes too, like all three of them, like the other three in the group went off, and like Ed just kind of stayed on the ship. So you're just kind of like, okay.
Ed was maybe that one introductory episode for Ed, and then never anything else. So
like maybe the character will be more interesting as it goes on, but so far I'm not really a huge fan of the character. It's just kind of like annoying kid character,
right?
And doesn't feel like much more than that to me. But I do like the other characters. They're a lot of fun. I think the one thing this show nails a lot of the time is definitely like style.
Oh yeah.
Just in its art style a lot of times, and also the music. Like this show gets, I think, is really good at nailing like the music for every scene. Like you could tell there was a lot of like time and effort put into like the music. Like the music is a big thing and a big part of the show too. Like,
I mean, obviously all the episodes are named after music stuff, and it's called Cowboy Bebop. So,
right, exactly. And then like, I don't know, I really like the intro too. Like the song in the intro and the style of it is really cool. It's like, it's almost like a like I don't know, like it almost reminds me of like some sort of like spy thing, like story. I don't know. It's like, but yeah. So it's called Cowboy Bebop because the ship they have is called the Bebop, and they're cowboys, right? Because they like
cowboys,
right? Well, because bounty hunters in this world are essentially referred to as cowboys in a way. Like a lot of times, there's kind of like a weird thing where they're like the show that like shows you all the new bounties there are and stuff is like completely cowboy themed and stuff.
Yeah, it's this weird Western talk show thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's like, yeah, but I think it's a really cool style. It's like it creates this like style of like, you know, like space Western. Kind of, which is
a wonderful genre, honestly. Space Western.
Yeah,
all this technology and stuff. It's still like a Wild West shoot first kind of thing, though.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about each specific episode if you want, because why not?
I mean, sure.
So the first episode was titled Asteroid Blues. So the basic plot of this one was there was like these two people who were trying to leave the planet. The one guy was like using those like drugs,
the red eye.
Yeah, the red eye, and then which I that episode was okay. Like it was decent as like a start episode to start the show off, to kind of give you the style and feel of the show. But what I thought was really cool was the effect they used for the red eye, like when he like shows it from his perspective, and it's like everything's moving kind of weird and like in red and stuff. That was kind of cool. But I don't really have a lot to say about that episode.
I mean, it was good to introduce you to mainly Spike, but a little bit of Jet as well. But like his fighting style and his like sleight of hand skills and all that.
Oh yeah, because like there's the scene where he like takes the red eye without them noticing it. Yeah, yeah. Which actually, red eye gets brought up later on too.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just kind of a one-off thing, because this show definitely has like the type of show where it's like one-off episodes that aren't like super related to the rest of it. But the second episode is called Stray Dog Strut, which is the one where Ein is introduced, the dog. So there's just this guy after a dog because it's like a special, it's a really expensive dog. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really have much to say about that one.
I don't know. I like really like that villain character. Just he just wants his dog, basically. Like there wasn't really. Yeah. It didn't seem to me like he wanted to sell it off. Like he actually wanted the dog. The dog didn't like him at all, but.
Well, yeah, because the one guy who stole the dog from him did want to sell it, but then then episode 3 is where Faye is introduced. Honky tonk women. I want to say woman because it's like she's the only like woman in the episode, but it's called Honky Tonk Women. So this is the one where they go to the casino. That's right, and it's like. I always found that weird though, like the whole thing with the chip, because it's like, how do you know which chip is the right chip?
I mean, that's exactly why they hid it there, I think, so that nobody would know.
Well, yeah, but like, how did she know that the last chip he had was going to be the right one?
Well, she looked at the screen that they had, and it was like glitching out, so she thought, oh, it's the guy that's supposed to hand me the chip for this like trade-off deal, right?
Yeah.
But the screen was glitching out, so it was wrong.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think Faye is okay as a character. I mean, she's fine.
I mean, a bit of a hard ass, but you know.
Yeah.
Personality.
Yeah.
Unlike some female characters in certain shows.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely get the sense that they're trying to use her as like the thing to, get guys looking at her like, ooh, in the show, to really get guys interested.
The fan service, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely, I feel like that's definitely like a trope in anime. And,
you have no idea.
Yeah. Because there was like certain scenes, like a few parts of Death Note where they tried to do that. Not a lot, but a few. And that's definitely what... I'm not saying that's not all her character is in this show. Like, she's more of a character than that, but that's definitely like part of it.
Right. Yeah, I've watched way too many anime that I've been numbed to that stuff. So I just completely glazed past it.
Yeah. Well, like, even in the first episode, they tried to do that with the woman who, like, was pretending to be pregnant, but she had all the red eye in her.
Oh,
shirt. Yeah. There was, like, that scene, she, like, there's, like, a close-up of just her massive boobs and, like, these guys staring at them, and I'm like, come on, really? The first episode already?
Anime.
Like, episode 4 is Getaway Shuffle. Oh, that's the one with those weird, like, the eco-terrorist people.
Oh, yeah, with the rats, seal rats.
Because it's like Faye leaves at the end of the last episode, but then she comes back in this episode. Like, she joins them again, because, like, they find her, like, without any fuel.
Oh, right.
Yeah. and then she helps them on their little mission, and then at the end she's like, I guess I'm staying with you guys. But yeah, I found it so weird. Like, so like obviously it's like the woman and like her kids, but her kids are so like not threatening at all. Yeah, but also not threatening. They're like, hey, Mom, we'll get you back, Mom. Like, they really went for that. Like, now, obviously, that's, partially because of the dub, but I don't know what it was like in the Japanese version, but
I think
similar.
What's typically considered the equivalent for, like, accents is, like, hillbilly Southern for America. There is a Southern Japanese. I forget what it's called. It's like, nope, can't remember it. But there is a version of it, of like a Southern Japanese accent that they can like tell and pick out at a moment's notice, just like we can for Southern accents. So I imagine it would have been that.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it's like the more hillbilly type people, I guess. The more country people.
Yeah.
Next. Episode 5.
I don't get why the mother was like full, like well spoken and like aristocratic, while her kids were just.
Maybe they were like. Maybe they weren't raised by her. Maybe they were raised by like their father, who was like a total hillbilly.
Maybe.
But then she came back when they were grown up and was like, all right, I'm taking them to join my cause. I don't know. Episode 5 is Ballad of Fallen Angels. So this is where we introduce Vicious.
All right.
We start to have a little bit of the backstory of Spike explained. Not really explained. This actually raises more questions. This episode raises more questions than it explains.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Which is definitely the point, because it's to make you be like, oh. But the end of the episode made it seem like Vicious died, but I didn't think he was going to die. I was like, he seems like the type of villain who would come back. Because like
they put too much detail into him to just kill him off immediately.
Yeah. Because like there's an explosion. And I'm like, how did he survive that? But I'm like, oh, but he probably will. And then, obviously, later on, we find out he does. But yeah, so I'm still not 100% sure on like what their like group is, what their organization that they're a part of was, because it's like Spike used to be part of it, but isn't anymore. So, it's kind of I don't know. Maybe they'll get more into that later.
Is that Vicious killed the guy who just finished making a peace deal with somebody, and I think that was supposed to be like a whole like at least somewhat inspired by like Yakuza stuff, like Japanese gangsters, like in Mafia and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
because he was saying like, oh, I can finally relax, like with this peace deal I don't need to worry about this stuff anymore. And then he gets killed. But
yeah,
it sounds to me like they were part of that. And for some reason Spike left, or he faked his death or something. I don't know.
Well, and it has to do something with the girl that they keep mentioning.
Yeah, Julia.
That hasn't been in the show yet, but they've mentioned her and like shown flashback images of her. Because there was that image of like him like dropping the rose or whatever, or somebody dropping the rose that keeps popping up. Because like that was literally like the first moment of the show. Like in the first episode, there was that opening, and then it got into the episode, and I was like, that didn't seem to have anything to do with that opening. So I was like, I wonder what that was all about. Which was obviously, the backstory of Spike and like something to do with that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that like rose actually dropped or it's just symbolic. But I did really like in that first episode, you see it drop, and you see like all these flashes of like gunfire and what you assume is like Spike fighting, and the road, and it keeps cutting back to the rose, and it progressively gets redder and redder.
Yeah, it's like more blood.
This really neat moment. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's really this show does have some really good moments of really just cool visual like storytelling for sure. Yeah, that I really like. Yeah, that particularly is really cool.
Or the comparison they made to him waking up in his flashback to Julie like humming or singing or whatever it was, and then him waking up to Faye doing the same thing, and his reactions are completely different. Like, keep singing, and then for Faye it's you sing off key.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because this is the episode where he like wakes up at the end like all bandaged up because he was like shot and stabbed and all the that action scene was pretty cool. Like in the like church or whatever it was. I think it was in church, right? Yeah. Is that like there's like all those guys and he's like shooting him and like he gets shot and then he fights Vicious. Yeah, it's really cool. Next, I think the action generally in this is pretty good. Like I loved some of the shootouts and stuff. It's just really cool. Episode 6 is Sympathy for the Devil, and I think this is the one. Let me look. Yeah, this is the one where there's the kid or like the guy who doesn't age.
Oh right.
Yeah. Which was interesting because like throughout it, and he like gets these guys to like pose as his parents or whatever, and like forces them to like over the years. And overall the episode was decent, but then like I think what really stuck with me about this episode was the ending where he like finally dies, and he's like, it was kind of this like sad thing where he's like, I'm finally like, because he can't die. Like it's not that he's like he won't age, but if you kill him in a normal way, like if you shoot him, he'll die. Like he literally can't unless he has like, the only reason Jet was able to kill him is because he had that. Was it the ring that had the?
It had a specific crystal reacted to whatever energy, blah blah blah, from the explosion of the whole.
And so that was the
whatever.
And you realize that all this time the guy just wanted to die because he's been alive for so long, and it's like kind of sad, but also kind of like, oh, at least he's finally able to like get what he wants. And then him just like aging, like that visual was crazy too. Like it was,
that was really well done.
Yeah, they do. This show does have some really good moments of like just sad kind of endings, like kind of really like they really kind of hit you in like a way, like where the villains aren't always just evil, bad people. They're people who have certain struggles and maybe did something wrong because of like for good reason, or like and we definitely will get more into that as we go in the other episodes. But
for some people it might seem like a cop-out of like a final duel between him and the unaging kid, between Spike and the kid. But honestly it made like a lot of sense because the kid knows they can't die.
Yeah.
So he's just like messing with Spike, like, shooting past him and really close, and Spike just takes a single well-aimed shot that the kid fully expects to just tank and be fine.
Well, right. He doesn't even try to like dodge it or try to like, he just kind of is like, yeah, I'll let him shoot me because it's not going to kill me. But it's the special bullet that they get. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I was like really confused at first because like you think he'd like try to fight back actually at least a little bit, but like no, he doesn't need to.
Yeah, but this is definitely the type of show that has these like really good one-off episodes because like this, an episode like this is not really related to the rest of the show. Really, it doesn't kind of add anything new to the, I guess, overarching plot, whatever overarching plot there is there. But it's just a really cool little episode. And then next is Heavy Metal Queen. So this is the trucker woman who I thought was a man at first, but turns out it was a woman. Because okay, I thought it was a man at first, and then she said like my husband, and I was like, oh, so he's gay, like a gay man. I thought it was a man, and then later on said something about like I was his wife or something like that, and I was like, oh, never mind. It's a woman. It is.
Yeah, it's just a really well-built woman.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looked like a man. Yeah, well, like the voice was a little bit like less, like a little bit more higher pitched than like the average man, but like still, it was to the point where it could be a man. So I was like, yeah, I just thought it was.
I mean, first glance, I definitely thought it was too, and then I heard the voiceover, and I'm just like, oh, maybe not. And then mentioning that stuff's like, nah, it's a girl.
Yeah, but so what was the name? It was like it was 2 letters. I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember what the actual name was.
Well, yeah. But
I do think this is a good time to mention, though, Cowboy Bebop's just casualness about diversity, which I really like. Because, like, I don't remember if I'm jumping ahead or not, but there's a scene where Faye barges into somebody's room to try to get information about probably Vicious, I assume. But
it might be those episodes. I don't know.
2 dudes in bed just like panicking over that there's somebody getting a gun pointed at them, and they just brush it off like it's nothing.
Well, like, one dude was on top of the other dude. It looks like they were like mid fuck sesh, you know? Just
like there's so many moments like that where it's just this is how it is, and they're so casual about it. So
I mean, this was in the 90s too. This was exactly 98, I think 98.
And they just didn't give a fuck, and I applaud them for it.
Yeah. And I don't remember. Did VT die in the end of this episode? Heavy Metal Queen?
No. I'm pretty damn sure.
Somebody died. Maybe I'm thinking of a different episode. I don't know. See, that's the thing. A lot of the episodes, people like somebody dies in the end, and that's like so it's hard to remember which ones that happens. A lot of times they just don't succeed at getting bounties, so they're really not that good of bounty hunters. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, the entire time they do like so many cool stuff, and they can never get their money.
It's like occasionally there's like they'll get somebody, but it's like somebody unimportant that's like off screen just to show like you see them at the beginning, like they got the bounty for somebody, and then they move on to the plot of that episode just to be like they do get their bounty sometimes.
They just need a reason for them to constantly be poor, so they can't let them get any big bounties.
Right, exactly. Or if they do, they have to like the money has to be used up on something. Like like Faye just goes and gambles all of her money away. Like
or when they successfully caught the computer, like the satellite computer, and it's just like, well, the bounty refers to a person, so no money for them. It's like, God damn it.
Yep. I don't know if I have much more to say about Heavy Metal Queen. If you want to move on to the next one, it's up to you.
I mean, I really like that one, if only just for VT. She's a badass.
Yeah, VT was, she was cool, and she's like seemed like a genuinely nice person to everyone. And and then there's the whole thing where it's like her husband who died was a bounty hunter, but she hates bounty hunters now. Like it's like a whole weird thing with that.
I don't think they really explained that too much, did they?
Yeah, it was just kind of like a reveal at the end that her husband was a bounty hunter, and you're like, oh, she hated bounty hunters this whole time. But no, that one's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Then we have Waltz for Venus. This one turned out to be, I think, a really good one. Like at the end, so like,
is this Jet's one? Jet's backstory?
No. This is on Venus, and there's like the guy who's trying to get the plant for his sister to like help her.
Yeah, I really like this one too.
Like it's actually because like at first you're like, oh, he's just, and again it shows the whole thing where like all the people they capture for their bounties, it's showing they're not always just bad people. It's like, you know, people who got in a bad situation and need to like do something to, you know, for like good reasons. But like, you know, yeah. And it was like really sad because it was that moment at the end where like he died and he was talking to his sister and she's like, oh, where is he? Like, oh, and she's like, I don't want to do the thing. I don't, you know, because he gave her the thing to where she would be able to see again. And he's like, I don't want to do this because I want the first person I see to be him. And then he's like, he's dead. Like,
I think what was even worse is he didn't have to tell her. He just sat there and said nothing basically while she was just like, is he in jail? Realized, is that why he's not here?
He's like, nope. And she's like, yeah. It
was such a sad moment. And the moment the moment that he died was so terrible because it was just like he did it. He did the martial arts thing. He flowed like water, and
then suddenly somebody just shoots him, and you're just like,
as he turns
like,
around,
you see what I did?
Look at Spike, all proud of himself, and then just bam.
Yeah, it hits you there. This show does have some really like sad moments. Like, it actually like surprisingly, because just like Cowboy Bebop has sad moments, you know.
This ridiculous musical name just has.
Oh yeah, and I mean a lot of ridiculous things that happen in the show too. Like, it's a very like weird show, you know, but like it still has these like really good moments. The next episode is Jamming with Edward, which is when Ed is introduced. I mean, this episode was alright. I just think Edward is kind of annoying, a somewhat annoying character to me. So I'm just kind of like,
I mean, I liked him in this episode. But all the other ones, he doesn't. He, she, whatever.
Well, that's the thing, because in this, she's like important to the story of the episode, obviously. Because she's the one who like helps them figure everything out, and like it is kind of cool that like she's like a good hacker and stuff, but her like hacking style, like you look at when she's hacking and her computer system looks so like weird and childish. Like there's all these smiley faces on it and everything with all of her hack. Like, you know, if you're hacked by her because you like your computer just gets like this like smiley face thing on it or whatever. Like,
and she doesn't like really use a keyboard a lot of times. She just has the goggles on and is just actually looking at code with it.
Yeah. I wonder what her backstory is. Well, because she was on Earth, right? So she's actually from Earth, which is like at this point in time is like basically like slums. You know, it's like just kind of a gross old place that nobody wants to live.
Apparently shattered, and like every once in a while rains rocks down on the surface, so they all have to live underground.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's interesting.
They have a really neat like story for their setting and world, but they never really get into it. They're just like, oh yeah, the disaster that happened where this energy exploded and changed everything. Yeah,
I mean, like, there's no real need to explain it. Like, it's just kind of, it's like the world building is there, but it's just there in the most natural, like, yep, that's the way things are kind of way. Like, it's not gonna.
I do like that. I am, however, extremely curious.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. The episode after that is episode 10, which is Ganymede Elegy, which is the one about Jet's backstory.
Okay. Yeah, they have this fight, right? And is this one where... No, this isn't the one where they have the fight. No, I'm messing it up.
No.
Okay, no.
No.
It's just Jet lands and goes to visit his childhood sweetheart.
Yeah. And he, like, well, because she left him and he never knew why she left him. And it's kind of like, so he wants to kind of get some closure there, I guess. And then, but she has a boyfriend who turns out to have a pretty big bounty on his head. And then, yeah. I
really like the emotional aspect of this one, because it was just like, he knows that he's over her and he's fine with what happened, but he just wants to know why. Mm-hmm. And then he finds out about the bounty and he's just like, I'm not going to let my relationship with her get in the way. I'm going to do my job. But in the end, it like works out because he was going to get out for like self-defense anyway.
Yeah, and that's what he tells him.
Really nicely.
Yeah. Well, and then he does fully find out why like she left. She said like she didn't like being like him being so in charge of everything, and her just kind of feeling like she didn't have any independence or anything with him, which is an interesting kind of thing because it's like, you know, he probably never meant to make her feel that way, right? Because like he definitely like loved her and actually like cared for her, but then it just kind of naturally was like that without realizing it, you know. What naturally was too like, I guess, overpowering in the relationship without realizing it,
right?
You know, which is like an interesting thing. Yeah, and then like, yeah, I don't know. This was a good episode. And then like to find out that he was actually a cop was kind of cool too.
Oh yeah, he was the black dog. Whatever he bit down on, he never let go of.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think that honestly that makes sense for me. Like when it was like explained that he used to be a cop, I was like, yeah, I can see it. Like I felt like it didn't seem like a backstory that was like weird or like, oh, he was a cop. Like it was like I kind of felt like, yeah, he seems like he would have been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if
kind of skill sets for it too.
Yeah, the right kind of skill sets, and he just seems like I don't know, personality wise, seems like somebody who's like cares about people enough to be like, you know, he was a cop at one point, kind of. Mm-hmm. Whereas like if they had said that, like let's say Spike, they were like, oh, Spike used to be a cop, I'd be like, no, he wasn't. I'd be like, no, you can't lie to me like that now. But to say that Spike was involved in some weird, I don't know, whatever he was involved in, crime syndicate, something
stuff, like almost 100%.
That I'm like, yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm. So it's like their backstories are almost opposite, right? Because like Jet was like working on the side of the law, and he was working in and Spike was like in some sort of criminal underworld stuff. I don't know. Kind of cool.
Oh, I guess I'll wait for later episodes to mention this, actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Next episode is episode 11, Toys in the Attic, which is a very one-off episode that doesn't add much, but is funny.
It's just the entire thing's a joke that like ends up being a little horror episode.
Well, because at the end, he's like, you find out it's just that he left something in the fridge too long. Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
There's like this monster that was haunting them and hunting them down and like poisoning them to death. And they were getting picked off one by one, and it sneaks through the vents, and then he's just like...
Well, also it's weird because there's no like, okay, like, so he knocks it out of the ship, but there's no like resolution. They never find out like if they need a cure to it or anything, or like if they just kind of get better. They never explains any of that. It just ends with all of them just kind of floating in there, like not like unconscious. Just like,
I just love the moment where he's just like, and then in that moment I finally remembered I left the lobster a year in the fridge. It's like, what? That's what's happening?
He like slightly opens it and it's like really disgusting in there, and he's like closes it and just like takes it.
So it's so good. And then, like the little piece of it that escapes while he's trying to eject it just gets eaten by Ed, and it's like, okay,
yeah,
it can bite you and poison you to death, but Ed's just fine eating it? What?
That episode is just so bizarre and like out there. It's just, and then it's like framed around them each giving like a lesson or whatever. Mm-hmm. Which is like, oh, the end is like, the final lesson. Don't leave anything in the fridge too long.
Yeah. And none of them were really like I don't remember all the lessons, but I don't remember any of them being like really good lessons. They were just kind of like weird stuff that they do that's like kind of not right, but it probably helped them, specifically them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was a fun episode. And then like at the end there's like the vision, it's like very like dramatic with its visuals, like the fridge is like spinning around in space with these like sparkles coming off of it, and I'm like, what the hell?
All just like floating to the music in the ship.
Yeah. I love it. It's because it's like the show can go from like really emotional stuff to like this, and then it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it makes sense for the show.
Yeah. Definitely enjoying it a lot. I don't know if I have much more to say about the episode other than it was funny. It was weird and kind of funny.
Yeah.
The next is the two-parter, which is Jupiter Jazz Part 1 and Part 2. Mm-hmm. So this is the final two episodes we watched. So yeah, I mean, I thought they were really good. It's good.
Sorry, they were definitely good, but like there were so many weird things that they introduced, like this weird council that Vicious was talking to, and his comrade, whoever it was, I forget the name.
I don't remember the name either.
And, like they had a weird relationship, and all this.
Well, this was like an interesting planet because it's like this place where only men are. Like, there's no women on this planet.
Just that's how it is.
Yeah. So like, there's these like prostitutes on the street who are like,
it's just drag queens.
It's just like drag queens, yeah. And like he sees the one from behind, and he's like, oh, my name's like, not Julia. It's because he was looking for Julia, and then like, it was just funny.
Julius, was it?
Julius, yeah. He's like, my name's actually Julius. And then like Faye just kind of like up and leaves them. Just because that's just the way she is. Mm-hmm. She just kind of like does crazy things without any justified reason for it. She's just kind of like, you know what, this is what I'm doing now.
Well, it apparently was this whole thing of like her being afraid to be abandoned, so she did it first to avoid that or something.
Oh yeah, because she has that conversation with I can't remember his name. I'm like looking to see if it says in like the little descriptions of the episodes, but it doesn't say his name. But yeah. So, and then there was a whole interesting story like of him getting injected with some like a lot of hormones, and then like his body,
some experimental stuff that messed with his hormones
to make his body like a woman's body.
At least partially, yeah.
At least part of it, yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah, they just kind of did it for no real reason. It's like, okay, cool.
Like, that's just how the character is, yeah. Because they definitely could have not had that, and the episode pretty much would have been close to the same.
Right.
But nope, that's what they went for. But yeah. So Spike is hunting them down, and then then Spike gets shot, but they shoot him with like a stun bullet or something instead.
He's like,
on purpose. He's like, oh, I'm not dead. Okay.
There was this whole thing of Spike has two different colored eyes, and one sees the past, and I'm assuming the other sees the future, but I don't think they ever actually said that.
His eyes looked the same color to me.
Same.
Maybe it was like they used to be different colors.
Until that moment when they were like really talking about it with the dude as he was dying in the ship about to send him off. Like I noticed it in that moment slightly, but I figured it was just because I'm colorblind that I couldn't see the difference.
like I didn't notice it very much. I think it might be a very slight difference. I think that's the thing. It's like I was looking and I was like, what? Are they different?
And then I was like, okay, why is this the first time we're hearing about this? Because we've seen like little clips of like there was like this weird like science experiment clips of just eyeballs, right? And so I assume that they were Spike's clips, right? From Spike's backstory.
Yeah.
Before I didn't, Probably. But now I know they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so confused. Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Explain.
I don't know. Interesting. I'm sure there'll be more explanation for a lot of this stuff as it goes on. Mm-hmm. But
I guess it also explains why Jet, when they went to the casino with Spike, he was like, don't gamble too much. If you win too much, they'll kick you out. Your eyes are too good. Like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
There's an actual reason for it. It's not just his eyes are good.
Yeah. God. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Because he has, like, the... Yeah. Did they ever fully explain yet why... I don't think they did. Why Jet was missing an arm? I don't think they did.
He said that it was only in like the vaguest terms ever of like it was his price to pay for doing something stupid or whatever he said.
Yeah, so I wonder if we'll ever get like a full explanation of that or not. It's interesting. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm enjoying the show.
Oh yeah, I really like it.
I feel like I don't have a ton to say about it, but like I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, all the episodes are fairly simple, and everything that like we would talk about hasn't been explained yet. It seems it's just like left us more questions so far.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's definitely because there's certain episodes that are very like one-off, and then there's some episodes that are a little bit more like getting you into more detail of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. So yeah, the next episode is titled Bohemian Rhapsody, which is the name of my favorite song. So yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, we'll see where the show goes from here.
I still haven't heard what is my favorite line from any anime, which I know is from
that's
Cowboy
in the
Bebop.
show.
Yeah, it'll come soon, I think. I don't know what episode, but it should be there.
Yeah, we'll find out in a few weeks when we do the next half. I don't know what that line is, but I'll find out.
I would be really happy if you like heard it and was just like, yep, that's it. Just randomly in one of the episodes.
That's gotta be it. Yeah. Just that sounds like a line that would be a famous line,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't really have a lot more to say other than
yeah, I guess I'm all good.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. So we'll continue and finish talking about Cowboy Bebop in 2 weeks. Because next week we are going to be talking about a movie. And the movie we decided on talking about next week is... Ready? Drum roll, please. Let's go. Full Metal Jacket. Which came out in 1987. I don't know. I was thinking it came out in the 90s, but it came out in 87. So almost the 90s, but not quite. Anyways, classic Kubrick movie. So I've been wanting to watch a lot of Stanley Kubrick's movies, so kind of want to get into this. So yeah, it's like a war movie. I know some things about it. I know it has to do with like a really like a like drill sergeant who's like really like strict or something. I know that's part of it or something like that.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about it. Oh, I remember I was telling you about a line that I said that a friend was like, oh, from Full Metal Jacket. I'm just like, what? Is that what it's from? It was the Warface one. It's that meme. Show me your Warface.
Oh yeah, that probably is. Yeah. Yeah, and I've surprisingly never seen it, so we'll talk about that next week. And the week after that, we will continue Cowboy Bebop and finish talking about it, and then who knows what show we'll do after that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Anyways, that's it for this episode. So you can expect a new episode of WABAN every single Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And what was I going to say next? Oh, yes. So there are multiple different locations you can listen to the podcast, including many different audio platforms, including things like Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, stuff like that. And you could also listen to it on our YouTube channel, which is called WABAN. So there's a link in the description to that YouTube channel if you would like to check it out. There's the podcast on there and gaming videos that we've been doing, which have been really exciting. So definitely go check those out. Subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. And you can also check out my YouTube channel, which is called Nim TV. I came out with a few videos more recently that are pretty cool. So one is like looking back and reviewing one of my old short films that I did 4 years later. I did that I don't know, within the past week, I think, or two. And then I also did a video about Harry Potter that you can check out. So yeah, definitely check out my YouTube channel, Nim TV. That'll be linked in the description as well. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening to this week's episode of WABAN. I've been Nim.
And I'm Cub.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.